Hi friends, in Planet Earth Dating, it's Monday, February 20th, 2017. In both the Lynn Life and the Jamie Body Mind, the authorized souls continue to be only child souls from the deeper, denser dimensions and nature realms guardians. And the souls that we have present this morning are military types from above who are doing completely inappropriate things, and they feel very sure that they are doing right things, and they can feel the wrongness of the situation, and they're misinterpreting what's going on. And so what matters most is discovering what's actually going on, because when we can't tell what's really going on, we are extreme hazards on the course of life to all of us and to ourselves. We solve one problem and create other problems that are much, much, much worse.
That's true.
As always, our foundational intent is to do what is ours to do right now in all dimensions to manifest the divine plan. The data very clearly showing what matters most is survival of the truth, and particularly correcting the laws of karmic attribution so that each person stands on his or her own merits regardless of dimension of origin. And with that, the formally videoed portions of today's efforts begin.
Sighting up.
Just going straight up, especially up the backs. Finding the lead lumps that have come in during the overnight, those lumps of untruth that are so solidly intertwined that they're very difficult to detangle. And just, there we go straight up. Through the lumps. They can't actually stop us. And when we go through them, we help those lumps shatter into smaller component untruths.
That's true.
So that we can get to what's really going on and to what the situation actually calls for. These souls, they're very sure that they're not supposed to get on the free rides into the past. They're sure that this is the right time zone, and it doesn't feel incorrect.
That's true.
And they're less sure that they're not supposed to go up, but every time they've tried that, it doesn't seem to work for them. So they think they're supposed to be here, and it's pretty clear that that's not correct, because they don't want to participate in the evacuations of dead children who are trying to get to God.
That's true.
And that's a foundational part of our assignments here. They say, what are your assignments? Manifest the divine plan no matter what anyone else does or doesn't do. The data very clearly showing we cannot do that for the dimension in which we're experiencing sentience, nor can we do that for larger dimensions. The only dimensions in which we can have an impact are the smaller dimensions.
That's true.
And the smaller dimensions are packed with dead people who are trying to get to God but can't because of all the intervening layers of dead people who are not trying to get to God.
That's true.
So a foundational part of this work is to be a kind of like an underground railroad evacuating dead children, particularly children. And why dead children? Because it's abhorrent to trap dead children who are trying to get to God.
That's true.
In deeper, denser dimensions. Why in the world do you ask that? Why do you ask that?
Why do you ask that?
To ask that really reflects poorly on you. The answer is self-evident. Are you some kind of monster? I feel a temporary looking and then a very sure, no, I am not some kind of monster. Okay,
that's true.
Then why do you ask? Why we give preference to children when evacuating dead souls who really want to get to God? Why do you ask?
Why do you ask?
Kind of like grumpy huffiness. They don't want to acknowledge that children should be given preference.
That's true.
Okay, who do you think should be given preference?
People like me.
People like you. Okay, awesome. How about this? How about you go down, gather up people like you, and evacuate them? You can do that. You're not supposed to go into the past, you believe. And
no, he feels very sure.
Yes, and you're not supposed to go up, you believe.
Feel very sure.
Yes, so, and we're pretty sure you're not supposed to be here because one of our core foundational assignments during this period of the effort is to evacuate dead children who really want to get to God, and you don't want to do that. So it doesn't seem to us that you're supposed to be here.
That's true.
However, it's possible that there are presences like you trapped in the deeper, denser dimensions, and that they should be evacuated, and we aren't trying to help them. Maybe that's what you're supposed to do. And what other presences, they're saying something that doesn't seem right. Let me finish this. You are confused about who is talking.
Yes,
Look
that's
up.
true.
Look up. Much higher. Keep looking up higher, higher, higher. Look as close to the center of the bullseye, the telescoping bullseye, as you can get right now. See that waving hand way up high? It looks like a moving black dot. That they're saying that's impossible.
Yes, that's what they're saying. But they see it.
Well, I don't really know what to say to you guys, because I am that moving black dot. I am talking to you through the kind of like electronic speaker that you're listening to.
That's true.
Let's bifurcate. All of us who really want to know what's actually going on to the search for truth central axis, all others flung away. All of us who really want to know what the situation actually calls for, to the search for truth central axis, all others flung away. I see these presences holding fast to their post.
That's true.
But it does seem as though the babble, the background static is reduced.
That's true.
Friends, are you ready to acknowledge who is speaking to you? That it's that moving dot of a black hand, that waving hand. It's not a black hand, it's a hand that is so far away that you can just see the little moving dot. And the fact that you said you weren't going to listen if the hand was black would suggest that you're bigoted.
That's true.
They say everybody knows black people are bad.
Whoa! Literally what that person just said. And now I see the threads that come down from that person that he calls his God threads, and they come down through a lot of dimensions, and there are people in all those dimensions who are listening to this thread.
Oh, wow.
And they're saying, well, God tells me that black people are bad. I know God tells me, because this guy
is saying that. Well, here's the real inconvenient reality that almost none of us want to deal with. And that's that those God presences up there are not, in fact, more enlightened than people down here.
That's true.
As a collective, it's just the same. There are individual differences, but that guy up there is some bigoted jerk, actually.
That's true.
You shouldn't be listening to him. And here we circle around again to the laws of karmic attribution and how it's crucial that they be changed. That's a foundational flaw in this system. Maybe it was accurate when the divine delivery system was working. I don't know. But it's irrelevant now. It doesn't work now. There is no working divine delivery system inside the contaminated zone. Is it working elsewhere? I hope so. I don't know. What now? In order to manifest the divine plan, no matter what anyone else does or doesn't do, what now? Friends, you military presences, if you want to join in this effort, you are welcome. The only role that it seems like there would be any kind of intersection of interest with would be for you to go down into the depths, gather up people like you, people you want to rescue, gather up people you want to rescue, and take them up high and put them on the edge of the hellish void.
That's true.
It's not a void. It's so packed that it's anything but a void. It's the opposite of void.
That's true.
This is basic yes-no discernment issues. If you can't tell the difference between a void and a non-void, this is like a joke. Sun, that's not a hole in the ground.
That's true.
It's packed. It's like an overflowing septic tank, friend. This is like a joke. Can you tell that? That's not a hole in the ground.
That guy is definitely not wanting to admit it, but I feel people higher than him who are looking down on that guy and seeing
laughing.
it in him. Yeah.
And they're laughing. You're a laughing stock, friend. Look up. Look up. Can you hear the laughter? I know he can. I know you can.
Hear it.
I know you can hear it. You're a laughing stock. You're acting like a fool. Friend, what would be in your best interest is to go down into the depths, gather up whoever you want to rescue. Rescue them by taking them as high up as you can get. Put them on a safe place. Drop back down again. Get whoever you want to rescue from the depths, deeper than this. They go back up and put them in a safe place upstairs. Go back and forth, back and forth. That is about the only intersection of interest that we can find. Are you interested in that? Because what comes next, they say, I don't want to do, what if I don't want to do any of those things? What comes next are soul transmutation protocols. That's what comes next, because then you would have proven there is no intersection of interest.
That's true.
And when the body and soul are at odds, it doesn't work for anybody. It doesn't work for the body, it doesn't work for the soul. And these bodies are committed to, I hear what you're saying, these bodies are committed to living the soul plans.
That's true.
The soul plan is to manifest the divine plan for all dimensions, no matter what anyone else does or doesn't do. The data very clearly shows we are not able to do that for the dimension in which we are experiencing primary sentience.
That's true.
Nor are we able to do it for larger dimensions. We can only do that for smaller dimensions.
That's true.
Do you wish to participate in the evacuation efforts of the smaller dimensions? I do feel some presences dropping down.
That's true. On the left side, presence is dropping down.
All right. And now for those who remain, we seal the margins, start choppy, bush hoggy, chopping, burn from the base, and kind of trash compact the sides with the choppy blades coming closer, burning from the base. And burn really high up. And now merging with the children from the deeper, denser dimensions who really want to get to God, being them and going straight up the search for truth central axis. They can't actually stop us. Go right through the lead lumps. Don't bob and weave. That's how we get off track and get lost right away.
That's true.
Just go straight through. Look for the fractures of light and go through. They'll shatter. Don't you worry. Come on, let's do it. I've been waiting for you.
Come on.
Come on, let's go. Let's screen up just the karma that was delivered here during the last overnight and burn it and play the faces of the deliverers. They're calling themselves the deliverers.
That's true.
The deliverers of trash, though. The deliverers of lies. The deliverers of bad karma.
That's true.
It's all in the definition. Delivering what? What do you think you're delivering?
What do you think you're delivering?
Well, some of them want to say God's will, and they want to say punishment, and they want to say justice.
Yeah.
Okay. Help us understand how it fits the immediate situation. We are working to manifest the divine plan no matter what anyone else does or doesn't do by evacuating dead children who really want to get to God out of the deeper, denser dimensions, helping them get closer to God. How does that fit dumping?
They can feel that it doesn't fit.
Are you willing to acknowledge your errors, pull up what you dropped here, oops, sorry, wrong septic tank, and dump it someplace else?
Shaking heads. It's like it's too horrible to consider that could be a bad thing, that we're doing bad things. It's too horrible to consider.
we're just going to have to go right through you, friends. We're not...
That's true. That's what happens
Yeah,
next.
that's all we can do. You don't have the right to block dead children who really want to get to God, nor can you actually stop us, because we can go right through your atoms.
That's true, but you are standing in the path.
So, heads up. Here we come. I've been waiting for you. Come on, let's go. Friends, if you've really been trying to do what you think your soul plan calls you to do, and things just aren't working out for you, and you're wondering why this is, just try this exercise. Just intend to screen up, use a big screen of light, screen up and burn any karma that was dumped into your experience of sentience from larger levels that doesn't actually come from you. Bad karma that doesn't come from you. Why is that influencing your experience of sentience? Just try it. See for yourself what happens. Feel for yourself what happens. And then form your own conclusions. But, friends, you can only do this if you're actually trying to live your soul plan. If you're not trying to live your soul plan, you are the problem in your life.
That's true.
But for those who are really trying to do it and it's just not working, try the trick. You can do it. Someone is freaking out. They want to look down into the depths and do something, but they don't want to do it without being observed, and they're aware that they're being observed, and they're just freaking out. Get used to it. We're all being watched all the time. God is watching. Some higher presences are watching, and sadly, they're just like the people around you. They're no different, actually.
That's true.
The same variety of flavors, the same variety of intentions. That's what's going on.
That's true.
And that's unfortunate, but it's actually still true. What do I base that on? I base that on the experimentation, the results of the experiments, and I hope I'm wrong. Can you put any data on the table that shows that there is actually inherent superiority in higher dimensions? Geographically higher dimensions?
I would like to see that.
I would like to see it. We assumed that. That was our initial assumption for probably about 24 of these 27 years. It's just lately that we have flipped our working theory and all of a sudden everything makes sense. Why don't you try flipping your working theory and see if things make sense?
Oh.
They want to squish us like a bug. Yes, we're aware of that, and that's why we just got to go straight up right through you. I see what's going on is you're asking yourself the wrong question. You're asking yourself, am I correct more than those around me?
Oh, that is the question.
That question never leads to a helpful response.
No, that's true.
Try this. Are you helping the oppressed more than those around you? That's a good question. Try that.
There's a clearing feeling in the head. Out of the cells, start to finish, correcting the errors for the era of ground zero, start to finish, including the emissions for the listing period that ends at the successful completion or successful closing, and is supposed to end by April 15th, including the emissions for the lifetimes of the ground zero host, start to finish, including the emissions for the era of ground zero, start to finish, taking this poorly done work, raising it to well done with our own efforts, and wrapping the work. And wrapping ourselves with the work, merging in, sighting up, straight up to those black dots, the waving hands, going straight up.